The Chinese government is restricting travel for about 40 million people as officials try to stop the coronavirus from spreading. Now, this comes as the CDC confirms a second case of the deadly virus here in the U.S. Joining us now is Erik Nesson. He's an associate professor of economics at Ball State University. And Erik, we're going to get to one of the studies that you specifically focused on here in just a second. But first, I just want to get your thoughts on the coronavirus, its potential impact on the global economy. How do you see that?
Well, certainly we see that there's a strong relationship between spreads of illnesses and trade. So I think certainly we all hope that this new outbreak is able to be contained and it doesn't have strong effects on our economy. And we certainly hope that all of those who are sick are able to get better.
Now, Erik, your study was pretty interesting because what you studied was how strong employment affects the flu rates and in terms of the correlation between the two. Break that down for us, and what exactly did you find in terms of the relationship between these two things?
Sure. So what we had come into the study thinking is that there are a lot of aspects of employment that seem to be conducive to the spread of communicable diseases. So if you're in an office with a lot of other people, there are a lot of shared surfaces that people touch. A lot of people are shaking hands. And if more people are working, then they're more likely to put their children in daycare. And all of these things aid the spread of the flu. So what we did was we collected data from the CDC on the prevalence of the flu in different states in different months. And we looked at the employment conditions in those same states. And what we find is that if employment improves in a state, then the next month we see a higher than expected increase in the prevalence of the flu.
Erik, we had Novavax's president of research and development. He joined the ticker yesterday. We were talking about the flu, talking about the coronavirus. Let's hear what he said just in terms of how bad the flu could be this year and how bad it's been in previous years.
We have a very good seasonal vaccine that we're about to unblind, a phase 3 trial. And it's relevant to this topic because these are very similar proteins to what we have in our flu vaccine, and we need a better flu vaccine. And you may know the last 5 seasons have been very bad flu seasons.
So, Erik, it sounds like that pretty much correlates to what you found in your studies as well.
Yeah, it's certainly consistent with what we find. Obviously, there are a lot of different factors that go into play with how severe a single flu season is. So, we can't say too much about this current flu season, but certainly across the flu seasons that we study, which is about 6 or 7 different flu seasons, we see that as employment gets stronger, the prevalence of the flu goes up. So the fact that we have a strong employment conditions right now, and this flu season is worse than expected, that's certainly consistent with what we find.
Erik, what sectors would you say are most at risk of this?
That's an interesting question. So one thing that we did was we looked at sectors that have higher than normal levels of interpersonal contact, and those turned out to be the retail and the healthcare sectors. And then we looked at sectors with very low levels of interpersonal contact, and that's manufacturing and construction. And what we found was when employment changes in the retail sector, we see that that's strongly related to the spread of the flu. And when employment changes in the manufacturing and construction sectors, that's not as related to the spread of the flu. So it certainly seems like, interpersonal contact in the workplace is definitely something that aids the spread of the flu and likely other communicable diseases as well.